Hello, Craigster here. A week later, and I've got some more progress on the castle, so let's check it out. Here we are back at the keep that I finished on last episode, and I'm started the base plate for the left side of the keep wall, copying that technique that I used with those green slope pieces and leaving room for the merp. A few 2x4 green bricks used just to as filler. Here's a concept of a tower that I've come up with. I've used some ideas that I saw online, but they use quite a lot of parts, and I wanted to sort of restrict the amount of parts used, so I've moved those sort of angled pieces more towards the centre and less distance to the edge. And now I just need to work out how that's going to line up. Plated up and placed it in the right place, and as you can see, the green slopes are now sort of lining up with where I left off on the other side. Plates are down, ready to look at the angled wall. I've got the tower, and I just need to add the 2x2 blue plates. See how that's going to look. Probably not going to put the water in straight away, but I've looked at where the tower's positioned on my desk and realised this really should be a 48x48 plate, not a 32x48 plate. It's going to make putting the tower extremely difficult to line things up. So I think that needs to be longer, which means tearing it down and reapplying it to a 48 plate, which I did. It's a normal process, and we've got the tower in place, lined up where the angle of the wall I think needs to go. As you can see, it looks a little bit bare now. It's on the 48x48 plate, and it's a case of just doing the basics here of how things are going to fit. What do I need to do to make it look right? Decided the water's going to flow around from the moat and into the harbour, so I added it in as a corner piece. That was one of the main reasons of changing to a 48x48 plate, because that would have been a very thin 16 and it would have crossed from one plate to another, so I might as well have just put it on the 48 to start with, but we live and learn. Luckily, when you're doing a mills thing, you can just peel it off. So we're looking at the tower being fairly high, possibly higher than the actual gatehouse. The wall won't be, so we'll need to line the wall up. So a case of working out the actual angle of the wall and where it's going to line with the tower was a little bit tricky, but I've added in some rock work where I think it's going to blend into the harbour, so it's going to need some kind of lock type girl or some change to the water at that point to make that have different levels, because obviously the harbour will be deeper than where it flows into the moat, more of a sea into a river. So yeah, it's progressing nicely. Just need to work out how to get this angled wall in, and then I can rebuild the tower. So we've managed to start on the wall and get an angle that I'm happy with, using a very similar technique to how we built the gatehouse. Yeah, so we're just going to continue building that up and see if we can blend in the tower. We'll remove the grey panels, they were used just for the geometry. Got to leave room for blending between these green slopes and the wall itself. the wall's height's got to level up with the different layers of the gatehouse. So it's probably going to be roughly that far up. Managed to do a bit more work now, getting the wall technique, sorry, to work properly. You can see I've stripped down the panels now, and angled the wall at the back, so it's all going to tidy in with itself. It's just a case of rinse and repeat, building up. The bricks are starting to run out, so I've got to work with what I've got at this point. So I don't want to have to wait for an order to delay this progress. But yeah, I'm really happy with it so far. I don't really know what to do with the bottom of this tower yet, but it'll come to me. And I'm quite liking how the blue water looks and the shaping of it. Seems to have come out how I had it in my head. So yeah, we're making progress with the window slits. Not sure if they're in the right position yet. We've sort of half copied the technique used on the gatehouse there, but the main issue you have is that the window slits that come with the Lion Knight's castle are based on an odd numbered wall, and these are even. But I've managed to get some plates down onto the top of that, so it's nice and secure. I'm probably going to have to put some detail in there before I finish it off, because I think it'll be difficult to get back into it. But overall, it's coming along quite nicely, and the look's what I wanted to achieve. So put it into position on the table, just see what it looks like. I've added the cart that I built based on the blacksmith cart that I rebuilt. Changed it around a little bit how I wanted it to do, just to sort of set the scene. I've not put the water in, as I said, because I'm not really fully sure how it's going to blend into the harbour. But the wall's now built up, and starting to get to the point now where it's really taking shape. I can really see how it's going to look from the front when I step back. So if we pan back, you can see that I've done some edging on this grass as well to sort of bring that up to blend that into the other piece that I'd already done. Again, there's still a lot of fine detail work to do on here, but that can be done later at any point. The tower's sort of finished at that level. I sort of got the right height for the arrow slits and another piece on the top, and yeah, I think I need to work on the other side a bit now and some of the other shape before I continue, because that tower's quite part intensive, so I will have to order some parts and wait for them to come, or take them off something else that I've got and then put them back later if I want to keep the pace of the videos. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. You can see there with the gate the reason why I didn't want to do too much building on the back, because that needs to come across by one stud. I left it like that, not knowing exactly how this wall was going to work. Now I can just quickly get at that back part and line that up with the wall, the archway, so that the steps will lead straight to the wall and to the tower. And then the back of that can be accessed. I've actually put the barracks in at the bottom when I couldn't really decide what I was going to put in there. I'll show that on another video when the tower's complete. So I've not quite worked out how those bottom sections are going to lift out and lift back in again. At the moment they're just on 2 studs, but I'm hoping to secure them in a little bit better than they currently are. But they're fairly stable. It's just making sure that I've got access to that bottom section. So plenty of work to be done, to line that stuff up at the back, but the overall new angled wall has worked quite well. Quite happy with it. And again, I'm not doing the water because I need to get the next section done on that after that tower section, but I think I'll concentrate on episode 3 on the right hand side, just so we can get that front aspect correct, and look at what pieces we might need to finish the water off. What do you guys think? Do you like the blue water as it is, or do you like the snot water? This will obviously, this point here will turn into a harbour and docks. That will then potentially have some kind of seaside market as well as the main market town for the boats to offload on. But yeah, overall I'm quite happy with the full aspect of the front. It's looking how I wanted it to look, and it's got that classic castle Lion Knights feel to it, yet still not completely plain grey wall. The odd dark bluish grey seems to break that up and just give it a little bit more appearance. And it looks like there's going to be some good room at the back to work with as well, particularly in this area where I think it needs to be more of a courtyardish or leading into parts of the market. Castle in the Forest is still nearby at the moment. The troops are all lined up ready to populate, and this will obviously lead into the plans that I've got. That won't be permanently placed leading up to the castle. The castle is going to be permanently placed on those tables, but this will be something I'll put down temporarily for photographic or video purposes, and there'll be separate modules that can be lifted and moved around as well and added, so I'll need to find somewhere to store them, which is another problem to deal with. And next will be a case of finding somewhere for some of these buildings to go to allow me the room to add some further plates out. So I might in episode 3 get a few more base plates down just to give you a better feel of how big this is going to be, how it's going to look. But yeah, really pleased with the how it's turning out. Loving the blue at the moment, and the way that the contrast with the greens added colour to the wall. Like I say, it's not the most detailed way of doing a moat embankment, but it's using those green pieces that I have a lot of, and I like the effect it's giving. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Tune in hopefully next week for episode 3. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, please subscribe and like the video. And if you've got any comments, please leave them below. I always try and respond to every comment. Yeah, thanks for watching.